Hi, Agnes. Is it Agnes?
Yes, yes.
Hi, how are you?
I am good, thank you.
Okay, cool. So, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing all right. I'm doing okay.
Good. So, do you have a question?
I wanted to be profiled because I wanted to see where I am operating and how can I change that to work better with people that I'm trying to do business with.
Okay. Who are you current? Pardon me. Who are you currently doing business with?
I'm a network marketer, and I'm also in Elite Marketing Pro and trying to get prospects, to get in to buy the products which
Right.
we have as an affiliate.
Okay, cool. Um, so tell me a little bit about yourself. That's a very little bit. Uh, um, you're married, you're single. Fill me in.
I am divorced. I
Okay.
have got 3 kids.
Okay.
Um, I still work full time as an emergency care nurse.
Okay. And obviously not many hobbies with 3 kids and full-time work and that sort of thing. So,
I do have hobbies. I
oh, what
love
do you
going
do?
to, oh yes, I do. I go to the gym. That's what I love doing. And I love reading, which is one of a thing that keeps me company most times.
Okay, good. How old are your kids?
I've got a 16-year-old. That's my eldest. My middle one is 11. And my little one is turning 9 in August.
Wow, nice. Interesting ages. I have a 23-year-old and a 21-year-old, both still at home. So, 2 girls. So, what would you like to know?
I would like to know more about my mind model, where I am operating from, and whether is it something that can be tweaked in order for me to be effective in what I'm doing.
Interesting. From what I've gotten from your language pattern so far, one of the things, Agnes, is that you have you have contradictory. I'm getting contradictory messages from you. I find that you're very um, sorry, this is going to sound crazy, but I'm just going to call it the way I hear it. Okay. So, what I'm hearing is I'm hearing you're open and you're closed. You have very strong beliefs and you're very flexible, which makes certain beliefs very difficult for you to manage. And that when you manage them, you feel frustrated and your alignment with what's going on doesn't necessarily work. But then you have your strong beliefs that drive you to do things that causes you a level of frustration. And does that make sense to you at all?
Yes, it does.
Oh, Jesus, because I'm sorry, this is one of, okay, for everybody on the call, this is like the third or fourth time when I've done a profile in my life, okay, in 30 years, where I just say what I heard in the profile and figured out those bits and pieces and go, if I say this, I'm going to sound like a freaking crazy man because this isn't, it didn't make sense to me at all. I do not understand. I understand your language pattern. I understand that these are the not rules, but these are the ways that you lay it out for figuring out the language pattern. And that's what the language pattern told me. And then I go, but that's not a normal, that's not how it normally works with people. And that's how it normally works with you though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's how come nursing works for you because it gives you a sense of clarity, a sense of order, and a sense um, of purpose almost. And it gives you a way to channel what you do on a consistent basis, and it provides that level of stability for you. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Nursing is a great tool for you, a great, a strong need to be able to do that. I really agree that's highly effective for you. Okay, let's take that and start going in here. Wow, then that means you flip-flop between evaluation and judgment without any, okay, when you're at work, you are evaluating consistently.
Yes.
But for yourself, okay, when you're looking at your stuff, trying to build your business, you have consistency, then inconsistency, consistency, then inconsistency. And you flip-flop on these things and you don't do it. That's not how you perform at work, but that is how you perform when you're doing your own stuff.
Yes.
And so you're not using the same behaviors when you're working on your own business as you're working on being a nurse when you're a nurse.
That's true.
Okay, so not effective. All I can say is that's not effective. You have to start. Okay, the good thing about EMP is being able to go through the steps on a consistent, predictable basis. When you shortcut those steps, you're just going to add time to your success. It'll take longer. Because the models that have been laid out are not unlike your nursing, where you have to do things and learn how to test and run the tests, see what the results are, and learn how to. When you were taking nursing, you needed to do. Did you ever need to look at blood work under the microscope?
No.
Okay, nuts. When did you ever have to do have you done any diagnostic work as a nurse?
Not under microscope.
Well, that doesn't have to be a microscope. I don't know. I don't care. When you're taking
we do diagnostics like, like blood pressures, temperatures, and we monitor on the heart monitor. We can interpret that. And also on the ventilator, you have to evaluate the results that you see there and be able to use the controls. So everything else that we have, we've got measuring, we do measure what is it that we do, whether it's oxygen, how much the levels, and then we can titrate that depending on what the outcome we get from the patient.
Exactly. So all of those pieces that you just sort of laid out there, do you notice how clear and concise and limited that information is? And it's bounded. It's got boundaries to it. It's not black and white. There's black over here. There's this area that's okay, and then there's black over here. Like you can too high or too low. Neither of those is effective. We got to be in the sweet zone.
Yes.
You're not operating in the sweet zone with yourself and your business. You operate as an on-off switch. And you go on and it works, and then it said, well, that's not working. I got to try something else. And so you try and find something else to make it work. Now, I'm slightly probably exaggerating to some degree with that, but breaking it down into the critical steps that are laid out and figuring out how to make each one of those steps work is going to be where you find your sweet spot. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So evaluation versus judgment, clarity versus certainty. Boy, that's one of the mind models, my dear, you really need to get up on, is you go after certainty. You want to be certain. You want to know that you know, as
Yeah.
opposed to testing and finding out what actually works. How do you think all of those ranges, where that sweet spot is in medicine, how do you think they figured that out? It was a lot of trial and error. And it was figuring that out and seeing what do a lot of people's symptoms or blood pressures or whatever it is that you're looking at, what does that say? And then how do they behave? What happens to them as a result? And so you start making those comparative analysis. Then you build up a book of business, or not a book of business, you build up a book of statistics. And what you've got there are data points that are pointing you in a direction. Lots of people went through a lot of data, thousands and thousands of people, to figure that stuff out. On the internet, in internet marketing, EMP has provided you with a model. Elite Marketing Pros provided you with a model that has been tested, but you still have to refine it to the people you're attracting.
Okay.
And so that's the part where you start going hot and cold with doing what you're doing, and it's not serving you particularly well.
That's true.
Okay. So I go, you're probably going to have to, not probably, if you're going to be more, in order to get more successful, you have to go after clarity, not certainty. Clarity is questioning. Certainty is a telling process or a being told process, whereas clarity is a questioning process.
Okay.
Okay.
So how do I go about getting into the clarity process?
Well, one of the things here is that you're going to need to ask questions from your mentor. You're going to need to engage with a list of things that you're not clear on. And you're going to have to get almost like a range of a timeline. I talked to this guy, Bill, when I was at NES 9, and I believe his name was Bill. Anyway, I also talked with another lady, I forget her name right now. She actually, it was interesting because it was, pardon me, a medical miracle. She was dead for some time and they revived her. So she was at the right place at the right time when she died and came back. And I met her back in LA some months ago, half a year ago. And long story short here is she had been doing EMP for about 3 to 4 months. And she was wanting to almost throw in the towel at that point. And I chatted with her and she shared her story. And I said, that's a great story. You got to share that story. She wasn't sharing her story. Number one, number two, she had put in that 3 to 4 months. And one of the things I started hearing from a number of people is that at the 3 to 4 month mark, you're not really necessarily tipping over the edge and making that work. But at the 9 to 18 month mark, that's where things kick in, depending on, well, it takes a little bit of luck, but a whole lot of consistency and the amount of time that you can afford to put into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the things, and really go back and ask questions of your mentor. Okay?
Yeah.
We got 4 other people on tonight. So I wanted to profile them and do other things. How did that work for you?
Well, it's sort of like now channeled me to not to ask more questions. Know that where I'm focused to now is more clarity than being certain that whatever that I'm doing is going to work or not. Because that's how I've been operating, that I want to know what I'm doing is going to yield results or not. So what you are saying is that I have got to be testing a lot and asking a lot of questions.
Yes. Absolutely. To me, without diving into the weeds here, and I'm not going to do that, but it would appear to me that you probably are not testing enough, and you're not finding your voice in your message and making it clear and compelling. So I would make sure that you've got your mentor can really give you some feedback on that.
All right.
And, just follow that. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.